Abigail Wilde tonight, author of The Flight, which is going to be included in a new book called Transcendence, an anthology of human thought. Welcome, Abigail.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, we're so excited you could be here. So you are currently working on your debut novel called Shattered Self, correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. So tell us a little bit about what Shattered Self is about.
Shattered Self is about a 17-year-old girl that sustained a head injury on the soccer field. She's a soccer goalie. And 2 years later, she goes back to school. Her symptoms are not completely gone. She is suffering from PTSD, anxiety, and in fact, anorexia, because she spent 2 years in bed and has, depression, and it just kind of brought itself out with the anorexia. And so it follows her basically her first week back at school, and the problems that she has. And the fact of the matter is not everybody's happy to see her back. So we see a bullying situation, and we see how she copes with it and gets through everything.
Okay, well, that sounds really interesting. So she's been through, your main character there has been through a lot of traumatic events like PTSD, eating disorders, abuse. Those are some pretty heavy topics. So what gave you the idea for this book? What brought it about?
Well, I've been noticing, I work with teens often, and through the theater, and I've had a number of students that had post-concussion syndrome, which is basically a concussion that just doesn't go away. And so a lot of them end up homeschooling because they can't handle a full day of school. And so I really saw the pain that they were going through, and I wanted to learn more about it and understand what they were going through. And so out of that came my main character, Larkin, who became sort of like a daughter to me. And, all of their stories have kind of combined into this one character. So that's just kind of how I figure things out. Sometimes I write them, to help me figure out what the story is, figure out what's going on, and help me understand them more.
Oh, wow. So you get a lot of inspiration from the people that are around you and everything, the children teach and everything. That's awesome. So what theme do you feel is the one that you would most like your readers to take away from the book? Because it seems like there's a potential for a lot in there.
There is, yeah. Basically, there's many little themes, but the main theme is that you don't necessarily know what's going on in somebody's life. In the book, she suffers through people not believing that she's in pain still. Like, how could she still have a concussion 2 years later? Mm-hmm. And so it's all about basically understanding that everybody's going through something, and just try and be nice and understand maybe what they're telling you is true. So just back off and be nice. So.
Right, which is such a great message, because it's one that's applicable to pretty much many avenues of life. So
a lot of people have a lot of things that are going on in their lives that we know nothing about. So.
Exactly. You never know what someone's dealing with and what kind of what's going on. So
yeah.
So you also write. So you obviously are writing in the young adult contemporary genre. Yeah. So what sparked your interest in this particular genre? Was it your work or?
Yeah. So I actually work with homeschooled students, and I teach English and history and some drama, in person and online, to homeschool students. And so I've gotten to know a lot of these kids very, very well. And I started kind of writing little short stories just for them, just to help them understand, like, okay, well, this is how you write a story. And it just kind of grew from there. They enjoyed it. They started enjoying writing stories themselves. So a few years ago, I challenged some to do NaNoWriMo, and at that point, that's when my book was born, because I was doing it with them. So, yeah.
Oh, that is great. So you were able to combine those two things. That is awesome. So, and NaNoWriMo is so much fun. So too.
It's stressful, but it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely stressful. Anybody who's been through it, yes, it's stressful.
Yeah. And it was bad. That's why I'm rewriting it again. So, yeah.
Yeah, those edits, they can kill you. They can be killer.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you have plans to branch out into any other genres, or do you plan on sticking here with YA contemporary?
I think I really like YA, but I think I may go down to the middle grades, which is middle schoolers. A little bit. I have some ideas brewing in my head for that, and so I'm hoping to start on some things this summer. I'm just, I'm not the type of person who can write like romance or anything that has any innuendos to it, because I'm that type, and I start to blush, and I've tried. I can't
Right.
I had to write one kissing scene. No, there's more than one, but I had to write a kissing scene for Shattered Self, and it was like.
Right.
So I think I'm gonna stay with younger kids. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah.
Middle school and high school is my niche, so. Yeah.
I can understand that. I can. So you mentioned that you also direct children's theater.
Mm-hmm.
So how do your experiences there influence your writing?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I think, and something I like to tell everybody is that theater is a great place if you're afraid of public speaking, or if you have anxiety or any of these things, because you can get in front of a crowd, but you're a different person, and so you can find strength. You're not bearing your soul. You're not trying to perform somebody. You get to be someone completely different, and so it's kind of like it can ease you into public speaking. Because it's easier because you are it's not your life, it has nothing to do with you, it's someone completely different, and so you can stand up there and do it. And so that's why I find like a lot of my my high schoolers that act in my plays, a lot of their parents say, she has anxiety, he has anxiety, and they love it. They absolutely love acting. They find kind of their voice by doing that and becoming someone else. And so from that, I actually, they're my motivation, honestly, for writing, 100%. So, yeah. And sometimes I do like, when you're in tech week, which is the last week before a show, and you're really with the kids a lot.
Right.
And you hear their stories and you hear what they're going through. And so sometimes I'll be like, I'm writing that in a book, but I change their name, I change who they are, but I build off of it, and they love it. They absolutely love it. So it brings them joy, I think, to know that I think that much of them that I would write about them. So I'll keep doing that.
Do you ever find yourself going, don't do that, or I'll put you in a book?
I think that, I don't say it.
It'd be really fun.
Only if they do good things.
Right. Keep it positive.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, have a good evening.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right.